Since the Milwaukee Brewers were so good this summer, they win the NL Central relatively stress-free. We'll get to that next. Division champs once again.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Good to have you along. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin and proud host of Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. The Brewers have never been anything but division champs since I've been doing this show the last 3 years. Great to have you along. Coming up on the show today, I wrestled with, do I give you the bad news first? No, we're going to talk about the good news first, and that's the Brewers repeating as NL Central Division champs. The Brandon Woodruff injury news. That put a little damper on things. We'll get to that and what happens next. The Padres coming up next for the Milwaukee Brewers in the first of three beginning on Monday night. This show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy. Hey, you could never have a day where you say, hey, you get up and it's relatively stress-free or whatever, or you might need a little energy boost. 5 Hour Energy. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. Time to get your caffeine a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots. I take the cherry. Go to www.5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. All right. Congratulations to the Brewers. Once 1,500 plus 1,500 on the money line to win a division title. I know that because my buddy, Tim Allen, he came through on his post-game show. He was down at the sports book, and he's got like $1,500 coming his way because the Brewers were minus 1,500 when he put in his bet. He had the great foresight, and who would have guessed that the Brewers would buck the odds and be division champs? Most people had the Brewers winning 80 some odd games this year, 81, 82. I was optimistic. I think I said 86 wins. And of course, all the preseason prognosticators, all those experts out there, nobody had the Brewers winning this division. They had the Cubs and maybe the Cardinals will be a surprise. How about Cincinnati? Nobody picked the Milwaukee Brewers. And here we are, going into the final week of the regular season and already crowned NL Central Division champs. And more importantly to me, not only being about to be crowned NL Central Division champs, but that magic number down to 3 for the number 1 seed. But let's face it, nobody thought we'd be in this position given where the Brewers were at 21 and 25 toward the end of May. 21 and 25, going nowhere fast, this team was. Going nowhere fast. And Murphy had always said, we haven't hit our stride yet. We just haven't hit our stride yet. He'd come out in post-game press conferences and talk about that. And I was thinking, I'd come away from these things thinking, I don't know if this team's ever going to hit a stride. It might be one of these lost seasons. And the Cubs are playing so well. And there's a reason why the Brewers were plus 1,500 to win the division title, is because the Cubs were 15 games, 16 games over the 500 mark. And the Brewers were meandering under the 500 mark. But the Brewers won 40 of 50. They put together those 2 amazing winning streaks, one of 11 and one of 14, and just a winning summer. Just a winning summer. Just playing just incredible baseball to put themselves in a position to win another division title. Just amazing. Now, I think we all know that it goes without saying that, to me, none of this means anything. Okay, I'm going to say it. None of this means anything if the Brewers don't go far in the playoffs. All right? I've enjoyed this season. It's been a great season. But they got to do something in the postseason. The last 2 years, we've been teased, and they bowed out in the first round of the wild card. Well, they're going to get into the second round. They're going to get into the divisional playoffs this year. They'll skip the wild card. They'll get fed either San Diego or the Cubs, whoever gets out of that first round. And it looks like the Cubs are going to probably host that series. I mean, there's still they got to put the finishing touches on it, but it looks like the Cubs will host San Diego in that first playoff game, and the winner goes into Milwaukee. But the Brewers earned this, man. It has been such a great summer for these guys. Winning baseball, finding ways to win games, right? Most of these games coming down to the ninth inning. Now, Fridays didn't, and you could say maybe today's didn't against St. Louis, but still, these guys have, with a lot of effort, I have never seen a Brewer team with this much effort on a baseball team. They might not be the most talented team, but there has not been a team that I've ever seen, and I've seen them all the way back to the World Series team in 1982, 87, team streak and all. There has never, some of those teams had more talent, Hall of Fame talent, but no team played the game quite like these guys did, right? I mean, the 82 Brewers, they played hard and all that, and they did the right things. They hit a lot of home runs. I'm not taking anything away from that team. Had 5 Hall of Famers. But this Milwaukee Brewer team does so many things right. And a lot of baseball teams will say, well, we don't give up until we make that 27th out. That's really the truth. Most baseball teams, that's bogus. This baseball team, I honestly think, man, these guys are just fighters. And I think that's what gives the Brewers a heck of a chance. Now, they're not going to be one of the favorites to do well in the postseason when it starts next week. But I really like their chances. But I'm telling you, they owe us. They owed us one last year. But you cannot go upwards of winning close to 100 games and bow out of a first-round playoff series. Well, it'd be the second round, but it would be their opening series, the division playoffs. You can't. And if that's pressure, you know what? This team has feasted on pressure all year long. All right? They've come up with big at-bats. Who handles pressure better than these guys, the Milwaukee Brewers? Late inning heroics, coming back from 5 runs, 3 runs, games like that. Games against the Mets down 5-0. Game last Saturday night against the Cardinals at home, down 3 runs going into the 9th inning. Walk-off wins. They got 11 of them. They had an extra inning win on Saturday night with Terang. So I don't want to hear anything about pressure. These guys don't feel any pressure. They've done it in the regular season. This style of baseball, there's no reason. There is absolutely no reason this team should not win that first-round playoff series and then go from there. And if it sounds like I'm being hard on these guys and they won the division title, yes, but I'm tired of it. You know what? I've had a great season so far. We've had a great season. We've loved it. But it's time to get down to business into the postseason and win some games. And I don't want to hear anything about bad luck or any of that. I don't want to hear any excuses. Okay? Now, yeah, the Brewers have some injuries they're dealing with right now, and the latest, the Woodruff is a bad one. Yes, it is a big injury. But when it comes to win and losses, I don't care. I don't want to hear any of it. All right? I don't want to hear any of it. This team has fought through all these injuries all season long. These guys have fought through adversity. They've had injuries all season long, up and down, this roster. And they got to play through it, and they got to win a playoff series. That celebration they had in the locker room, they tore up the Cardinals' locker room. The rug, they had a slip and slide in there. That was a little dangerous. I don't know. I hate to be that guy, but I saw the slip and slide in there. That's, it's one of those where you slide, and, they had those when I was a kid. I don't even know if they make those anymore, those slip and slides. I think too many people got hurt on those. But, that was a crazy locker room today. There's locker rooms that celebrate, and, yeah, it always gets a little rambunctious. I feel like today's just, from what I saw, the highlight reels, wow. Now, I've seen locker rooms. I remember one year the Baltimore Orioles won a division title in Milwaukee. I'm really dating myself. But Rick Dempsey was the starting catcher for the Orioles. He dumped a whole big pan of lasagna on somebody's head. All the lasagna that was there for the team, he dumped it on somebody. He was throwing salad and everything all around the visiting locker room. It was incredible. It was like every man for yourself. You had to watch out because there was food fights and all that. I don't think this quite got down to that. But hey, when you're in there, champagne's flying. It's going. It doesn't matter if you're a member of the media, member of the Brewers front office. You're going to get doused. Okay, you're going to come out of there, and you're going to get wet. You go in there with your bad clothes, but it's fun. And you know what? Up until recently, there hasn't been a lot of that in Milwaukee. We went 26 years without winning getting a playoff spot from 1982 through 1982 through 2008 without getting a playoff spot. 26 years, and I covered a lot of those games. So, winning a division title 5 of the last 8 years in 3 in a row. Pretty incredible. The Brewers are the owners of this division. And you know what's even more incredible? The Cubs should be embarrassed. The Cubs should be embarrassed. Not only they stole their manager, they paid him $40 million, and the Brewers got better. The Brewers got better. Craig Counsell in the locker room last year, late in the season, when his team was eliminated, he talked about the Brewers are ahead of them, and they had to get better. You know what? The Cubs did get better over last year. They're going to the playoffs, but they're not as good as the Brewers. I know they won the season series, but you know what? They're looking up to the Brewers in the standings. In the 162-game marathon, the Brewers are the best team because the 162 games is the ultimate test in sports. That's a long, long season. As you know, there are many heroes on this team. I mean, Yelich and Contreras, Yelich fighting through early season struggles and then becoming an MVP type player from June on. Contreras struggling most of the season, playing with that bad hand. Re-injured that over the weekend. We'll talk about that. But big part of this team. Tons of clutch hits. Terang, Frelick, Durbin, huge. Vaughn, huge during those winning streaks. Perkins, I'm just naming a couple of guys. Monasterio off the bench. Ortiz defensively, right? All the offensive guys on this team. Churio, of course. So many guys, starters. Look at all the starters that have contributed. Even guys who made a couple of starts like Logan Henderson. There are so many guys. This was an organizational division championship. Bullpen was great. Bullpen was fantastic. All those guys in the bullpen. Some of these guys are on the injured list. They all contributed. There's so many guys. It wasn't like one guy had the team on his back. There were so many players that contributed to this win of this division. But it can't stop here. It can't stop here. And you know what? This division is going to be the Brewers for a while now. Yeah, not without work, but I really believe the Brewers are stacked for success. It's not like they went out and bought the division title. What did they do at the All-Star break? They did nothing. They virtually did Dan Jansen, and then they got a relief pitcher who ended up having to have Tommy John surgery. But other than that, Brewers didn't do anything at the trading deadline. They didn't make any big splashes. And we were all complaining about it. And what happened? The day after that trading deadline, the Brewers went on to win a game at Washington and then went on to win 13 more to set a club record for most wins. They said, you know what? We don't need any more guys in this team. We're good. And they are good. And then we've seen guys like Suarez struggle in Seattle. But we all wanted to play third base, and he's struggling in Seattle. But man, this team, all these guys in this rotation, so many guys contributed. And you look at early season, how this roster is and how that roster is now, such turnover. Guys who are contributing to this team right now who are down in the minor leagues. Monasterio. Vaughn was with the White Sox. Durbin was down. This team, Durbin wasn't even the third baseman to start the season. Oliver Dunn. Right? We're trying to make that work. Oh, man, it was great. Now, the Brewers didn't clinch the title by winning. The Cubs got swept in a 4-game series by the Reds. I thought that was funny. They lost twice in that 4-game series, 1-0. Team lifeless strikes again. Great season so far. I'm not ready for this thing to end by any means. I think we're just getting started. But like I said, magic number is 3 for that number 1 seed. Phillies got beat by Arizona. And look, the NL Central could be sending 3 teams: Brewers, Cubs, and maybe the Reds, who've fought back to chase down the New York Mets, who are having just a miserable summer after getting up like 20 games over the 500 mark. Just a miserable summer. And the Reds, who swept that series to the Cubs, they're in the wild card chase. They're right there. They are right there. All right, we come back. I'm going to get to the Contreras news. That's the good news. The bad news is Woodruff. And we'll try to put a few pieces together on that. Don't want to bring down the total mood of this, but it's reality. We got to deal with it. So we'll talk about that next here on Locked On Brewers. Zippix, terrific sponsor here of Locked On Brewers. Zippix toothpicks, whether you're looking for nicotine satisfaction, an energy boost, Zippix has got you covered with their nicotine and caffeine infused toothpicks. For nicotine users, Zippix provides a discreet way to satisfy cravings, hand-to-mouth habit without vaping or smoking. Zippix can be a helpful tool to reduce your dependence on vaping. Available in 6 great flavors, 2 milligram, 3 milligram nicotine options. And if you need energy without the crash, the caffeine toothpicks are a game changer. Go to zippixtoothpicks.com. Use the promo code Locked On for 10% off your first order. You got to be 21 to order. And the warning, nicotine, of course, an addictive chemical. That's zippixtoothpicks.com. Promo code Locked On. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix toothpicks. Show is also brought to you by Nutrafol. Nutrafol, recent new sponsor here of Locked On Brewers. Nutrafol, you've probably seen a million ads or so, especially on late night TV, for the hair growth products, and thought, sure, like that stuff actually works. But Nutrafol, man, that is one product that is definitely your go-to. Nutrafol is the number 1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. Not just hype, it's a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. You'll see thicker, stronger hair, less shedding, 3 to 6 months. Use Nutrafol and you will see results. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol, Nutrafol.com. Enter the promo code Locked On MLB. Nutrafol.com, promo code Locked On MLB. I'm Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, everybody, making us your first listen to every day. It's part of the podcast where I tell you where to find us. If you're already watching us on YouTube, we're on all those audio platforms as well. Google, Spotify, Apple. There's a million of them out there. Wherever you download podcasts, just punch in Locked On Brewers, download us, set an alert, and we're there every day talking Brewers baseball with you. And go to our growing YouTube page. If you're already listening to us on the audio platforms, go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. As we head down to the final 6 games of the regular season, 3 at San Diego, and they come home next weekend with 3 with Cincinnati, and those could be 3 very big ones for the Reds who are trying to get in. Man, I just feel like we get dropped these surprises out of nowhere. Oh, so-and-so's going on the injured list. This guy's going on. What's wrong with DL Hall? What? What's going on with these guys? Curio on the injured list. I thought he just tweaked his hamstring. How come he's not back yet? Well, Woodruff is the latest guy. A lat strain. We've heard that before with Brewers pitchers. And this is a guy who's supposed to be the Brewers' number 2 pitcher going into the postseason. Pat Murphy said, his quote, devastating. It is devastating because there's a feeling right now maybe Woodruff might not pitch in the postseason. Going on the injured list, he'll be gone for the rest of this regular season. But postseason is starting a week from Saturday for the Brewers. A week from Saturday, they'll play their first game. Next week are the wild card games. The Brewers will have the bye. So a week from Saturday, the Brewers would have a home game for their first playoff game, and then they would play Monday for their game 2. But it sounds like Woodruff might not be a part of this. And Woodruff said in the locker room to the media that he had not been feeling well for the last month. This is the first he's really talked about it. The velocity has been down, was down in his last outing. And he was not going to come out and say, well, I'm not feeling all that well. He did not. Again, I always tell you, these players and these coaches and these managers, general managers, they're not going to tell the media everything. They are not going to, and they shouldn't. They don't have to give us the keys to the kingdom. But Woodruff came out after the fact and said, yeah, I had not been feeling well for the last month. The wear and tear, he's got 106 innings under him. And I get it. This is terrible news. So, obviously, we're going to have to monitor that. Why is it always the Brewers go into the postseason with some sort of injury? I mean, dating back to Raleigh Fingers in '82, right? I mean, it's always something. We're always dealing with something with our sports teams here in this state. My goodness. So here it is. Here's how I have it. Now, I'm assuming if Woodruff doesn't pitch, Peralta game 1, Priester in game 2, right? Priester game 2, I think we're all good with that. Then who would you throw in game 3? Priester gets moved up from game 3 to game 2. Would you go with Chad Patrick? Would you go an opener with Aaron Ashby? And maybe the Miz? Would you trust Eric Fetty? DL Hall, we don't know about him. Murph mentioned we could use an inning or two out of Logan Henderson depending on his health. Would you throw Logan Henderson into that? Quintana, well, he's on the injured list. He was supposed to pitch on Sunday. And then he mysteriously went on the injured list an hour after talking about that he was going to pitch on Sunday. A lot of options. Not quite as good as Woodruff. Right? We all want Woodruff to pitch. But if it gets to a game 3, which would be 2 weeks from Tuesday, right? 2 weeks from Tuesday would be a game 3. If they could stretch it out and get Woodruff back, you guess like 2 weeks, right? Don't pitch him in game 1, game 2. Could you get him in game 3? I don't know. You know, these lat strains, you don't know. You don't know. But I would think Peralta, Priester, and if I would have to say right now for game 3, my choices would either be Patrick or I'd go with an opener with Ashby. And do you trust the Miz? Do you trust the Miz in the postseason? I mean, a couple of starts ago, I thought yes. And this last one, not so good. I don't know. Let's see how Woodruff checks out. We'll talk about that further. But I would say if I would make that decision right now, if it came down and Woodruff couldn't go in a game 3, I'd go with Ashby as an opener. I would go with Ashby as an opener. That'd be my guy. Good news with Contreras. Man, he's got the elbow injury, bruised elbow. That finger, and if you haven't seen it on social media, look it up. His finger is in terrible shape right now, and he's playing through it. I don't know how he's doing it. He got hit in the hand with a bat on Saturday, and he had to come out of the game. X-rays were negative, so that's good news. Okay, but how sore is that hand? Just because there's no broken bone in there, how sore is that hand? My God, his arms are just taking a beating. And he's in there catching every day practically. And needless to say, they need Contreras, right? need Contreras. That was the good news was Contreras. The X-rays were negative. Danny Jansen catching. And what do you do from that point on? How do you want to think about that? Got to keep right. Plus, Contreras, you need his bat in the middle, right? Not only catching, but his bat. Need him in the middle of the lineup. He's one of the reasons, because he's turned the season around this summer, and he's played through that hand injury, that the Brewers are where they are. Just part of the puzzle. I did think of one other name. Robert Gasser. Would you throw him into Game 3? Pitched 3 innings on Sunday, gave up 1 hit. That was a 2-run home run. Not a big fan of starting him in the postseason. I want to take a guy who's got Tommy John surgery. He's coming off of it. I want to take a guy like that off slowly. All right, we come back. We'll talk about what's ahead for this team this week. We'll do that next. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy as well. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots. Tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Do I have my cherry extra strength around here? I don't see it. I take one in the morning. I know a lot of guys who take one in the afternoon. Gives you that energy boost after lunch or so. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus the B vitamins and nutrients. Zero sugar, zero crashes whatsoever. So, yeah, enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. Time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade. These things taste great as well. The apple flavor, terrific. The banana watermelon, I'd recommend as well. 5 Hour Energy shots. Get your favorites. Try something new in store. Go to Amazon. Try them online. 5hourenergy.com. There's deals to be had out there for 5 Hour Energy shots, your convenience store as well. But, hey, you're feeling you need a little energy maybe before a round of golf. 5 Hour Energy. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine, again, of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee. Go to 5hourenergy.com to read more. Visit Amazon or your local store to pick up 5 Hour Energy. Also, this show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Monarch Money. You want to save some money? Monarch Money is going to tell you where your money's spent. I had a guy message me the other day, loved the podcast, and he said, Chuck, I'm on board with Monarch Money, just what I needed. What it is, Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Most people can't name all their financial accounts, their 401ks, investments, and all that, but Monarch Money is going to bring it all together. It's going to show you where you're spending your money, where your paycheck is going. Are you going out to eat too much? Are you doing this? Are you going to the movies? You name it. Monarch Money is going to tell you how your financial health is from week to week and long term. So don't let this financial opportunity pass you by. Go to Locked On MLB, or go to monarchmoney.com. Use the promo code Locked On MLB in your browser. Half off your first year. monarchmoney.com. Locked On MLB is the promo code. 50% off your first year. monarchmoney.com. Promo code Locked On MLB. Down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers. Part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. The 2 teams the Brewers play this week, Cincinnati later in the week, Friday through Sunday at AmFam Field. And the Reds are trying to break a playoff drought. I think it's like 10 years, right, that they haven't been to the postseason. San Diego is pretty much in. They haven't clinched anything, but they still got a little bit of work to clean up here to get into the postseason. It looks like they still have a shot at to host in the first round, but it sounds like they're going to Chicago. But still, San Diego's going to come in here. We've seen them before. Got some nice bats in that lineup, obviously. I feel like that's a team that once in a while mails it in. Yeah, I feel like once in a while San Diego goes out there and, they look terrible. But they're still, 14, 15 games over the 500 mark. Mike Schilt, their manager, former Cardinals manager. I thought he got a raw deal with St. Louis. But San Diego in a first of 3, late night, like 8:40 start on Central Time, Monday, Tuesday, mid-afternoon start on Wednesday, and the Brewers will come home this weekend face the Cincinnati Reds. And we'll see what the Brewers do use for lineups here. Again, that magic number is 3. I suppose we'll see a lot of Sunday lineups here in the last week, right? But you want to still go in, playing some good baseball to finish it off, right? You don't want to lay down and die and go and lose 6 in a row going into the postseason. You still want to play strong. You got some injuries. You don't want to play all these guys. You want to rest some guys, right? You've already got some injuries in that starting rotation. McGill, good news with McGill. He's going to throw a bullpen on Tuesday, maybe a live session Friday back at AmFam Field, and could be activated by this weekend and get him some work in before the postseason. That's another bit of good news that happened from Pat Murphy. And that's going to do it for me. Chuck Freimund, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen to every day. Locked On Brewers, and the Brewers are division champs for a 3rd year in a row. Get yourself I see that the Brewers are selling their shirts and their hats and all that for a division title. I'm going to save my money for they win and go to the World Series. I have enough division title shirts. It's time for some World Series shirts, right? We'll talk to you all tomorrow night, everybody, following that game in San Diego. Here on Locked On Brewers.